think that that is unconstitutional. We think that a jury verdict should mean more than our jury's verdict seems to mean, and so we are planning to appeal.
Sean Diddy Combs was supposed to be out of prison by May 2028, but the government just pushed his release to June 4th. And the reason behind it is way more alarming than anyone expected. This isn't some mix-up or paperwork issue. Federal Bureau of Prisons records show it clear as day. Diddy's time got extended after several rule violations, including one suspicious three-way call that raised serious flags. It all went down in early November, and while the Bureau quietly updated his file, Diddy's team rushed to spin it as just a routine legal call. But the documents tell another story. An FBI summary revealed that the call wasn't protected under legal privilege at all. It was an unauthorized line connecting people who had no business being on that call. In federal lockup, even small violations like that can add weeks or months to a sentence. Still, that's just what's on paper. Behind closed doors, insiders whisper something darker. A mix of drinking, sketchy favors, and bold moves to twist prison life in his favor. This is the same man who wrote a tearful letter to the judge last October, saying he was broken and begging for mercy. Yet, sources at FCY Fort Dix say the reality inside looks nothing like a man trying to change, more like someone still calling shots from behind bars. Diddy got himself in trouble during his very first week behind bars. Word is, he was caught sipping on a homemade drink he brewed himself. Soda, sugar, and apples left to ferment in his cell for almost 2 weeks. Supervisors thought about sending him to lockdown but chose to keep it quiet, hoping it would blow over, until that shady phone call popped up just days later. This is where the story splits between what's real and what's being sold to the public. Diddy's team keeps brushing off every rumor, telling everyone to give him a break. But folks inside the facility say otherwise. It wasn't some one-time mistake. They claim it's part of a bigger pattern. Small rule breaks that seem random but line up like moves in a plan. Officially, Diddy's camp swears he's clean, focused on self-improvement, working in the chapel library, staying out of drama, and sticking to the treatment program. Sounds good, right? But according to multiple insiders, that's just the surface. There's talk of secret messages slipping past guards, hidden connections, and quiet attempts to smooth his time on the inside. Off the record, some even say Diddy's using his name and influence to score little luxuries most inmates couldn't dream of. And each time a new story drops, his lawyers jump in fast, calling it all lies, fake news, and exaggeration. They keep saying Diddy's a model inmate, but the buzz inside paints a totally different picture. The problem now is that Diddy's team can't keep their story straight. Every time they try to clean up one rumor, another report drops fast. Prison logs back it up too, showing at least 2 serious violations since October. One for that homemade drink and another for the shady phone call. Both were enough to officially delay his release. It's a full-blown contradiction. On one side, his lawyers are working overtime to paint him as a humbled father, a changed man trying to rebuild his life. But on the other, his record inside shows the opposite. Multiple warnings, disciplinary marks, and a trail of trouble stacking up in his file. And this isn't just some celebrity meltdown behind bars, it's way bigger. Diddy's 50-month sentence was already way lighter than the 11 years prosecutors were pushing for. The government had described a long-running network of questionable dealings, private meetups, staff involvement, and connections to past associates like Cassie Ventura and a woman prosecutors listed as Jane. According to court documents, those links tied him to what they called a pattern of illegal behavior. The headlines back in July were explosive. He dodged a racketeering charge here, got a not guilty on another count there, but still ended up convicted on 2 counts of transporting individuals for intimate purposes, each carrying up to 10 years. That lighter sentence, less than half of what prosecutors demanded, sent a message all on its own. But the courtroom also came with a warning. If a defendant slips up, judges can always revisit the release date. And that's exactly what went down in November. These prison violations aren't just minor slip-ups, they tie straight into the bigger legal chaos still surrounding Diddy. He's nowhere near a clean slate. Over 100 lawsuits are still hanging over him, many pushed by attorney Tony Busby. Each one's a ticking time bomb for more legal damage. These accusers watch his every move, waiting for proof that he's not taking his punishment seriously. And every new report from Fort Dix gives them fresh ammo to use in court. You can see the pattern clear as day. Every rule broken inside the prison ripples far beyond those walls. This isn't only about following rules, it's a fight for control over his public image. With constant leaks, viral posts, and non-stop speculation, Every move Diddy makes is analyzed like a clue to some bigger game. So the real question hits hard. Are these just careless mistakes? Tiny acts of rebellion from a man who hates losing control? Or is Diddy turning his time behind bars into the next chapter of his own story? Still playing the game to shape how the world sees him? People who know what really goes down at Fort Dix say it's hard to tell where luck stops and power starts. Every time Diddy's about to face another legal challenge, something suspicious happens. Another prison infraction pops up. His team jumps in fast with public denials, but the Bureau's files keep stacking with fresh entries right after. Behind all these headlines, it's a battle of stories. Diddy's camp pushes the image of a misunderstood artist trying to rebuild his life, while the government paints him as a man still pulling strings even from behind bars. Money, connections, strategy, he's got all three. But even those can't cover everything happening inside those prison walls. And what's going on behind the scenes right now could flip everything upside down. These aren't just random rule breaks. They're huge. Because if Diddy's crossing lines now, what does that say about what might have gone down before he ever got locked up? The pattern stretches all the way back to court, where he dodged heavy racketeering charges, but still got nailed for organizing travel tied to private meetups. Cassie Ventura's testimony hit hard. She described years of control and pressure, but Diddy's team brushed it off as made-up stories. That's the same move we keep seeing: deny, distract, and downplay. But behind the legal talk and sealed agreements, whispers keep spreading about people who say they were pressured into silence. And that list is way longer than anyone thinks. Back in the final weeks of Diddy's trial, the courtroom turned heavy as former partners stepped up with stories of private parties, aggression, and a world built on loyalty and silence. Cassie Ventura wasn't the only one. Jane spoke too, describing expensive gifts, strict financial control, and non-stop pressure behind closed doors. Together, their stories painted a picture of a man surrounded by yes men and protected by a powerful machine that kept him untouchable. Diddy never admitted to anything. Every time a new claim dropped, his lawyers fired back fast, calling it all publicity stunts meant to chase headlines. But that defense is cracking under pressure now. His team's final appeal is the last big move they've got left. Each new rule break inside Fort Dix makes things worse. Every infraction gives judges more reason to question his case, block early release, or toss the appeal completely. Why risk it all over a homemade drink or a shady phone call? Insiders say it's not about comfort, it's about control. Staying relevant, keeping respect, holding on to the power circle that once moved at his command. Even behind bars, Diddy's business world hasn't stopped spinning. Loyal contacts are still managing his interests, keeping projects alive, and keeping his name in motion. Word around the industry is that some of his closest allies are still grinding behind the curtain, making sure Diddy's empire doesn't crumble while he's out of sight. While everyone's watching Diddy's every move inside Fort Dix, something even more tangled is happening on the outside. His financial empire hasn't slowed down one bit. Bad Boy Records, the label that built his name, is still pulling in major royalties from classic hits dominating streaming charts. And his liquor ventures, especially those big money Ciroc deals, are still alive thanks to long-term contracts that can't just vanish overnight. Business insiders whisper that cash is still moving, flowing through old trusts and shell companies. But now that Diddy's name is toxic, the real question is, who's still brave enough to run the show behind the scenes? Because someone is definitely keeping the engine running. That's where things get shady and risky. With over 100 lawsuits stacking up and a wave of accusers ready for their turn in court, Diddy's lawyers are reportedly pushing to quietly break apart his empire before it collapses. Financial filings show a sudden burst of asset transfers right before his conviction, sparking talk that his trusted insiders might be shifting wealth out of reach before the courts or creditors can freeze it. The paperwork might be messy, but the message is loud and clear. Every dollar moved could be one more shield in Diddy's fight to protect what's left of his empire. Even inside Diddy's own circle, things are starting to fall apart. There's confusion, distrust, and whispers of alliances shifting fast. Some of his business partners are said to still be loyal, following his quiet, coded instructions sent through lawyers and middlemen. But others, hit with subpoenas and public backlash, are reportedly scrambling to distance themselves, trying to save their own names before the investigations dig deeper. The whole power setup is unstable right now. Sources say financial managers in LA and Miami are clashing over what to do next, while those running Bad Boy Records are quietly asking who even has the authority to greenlight big deals anymore. It's not just about lawsuits, It's about image, reputation, and keeping the brand alive in a market that's losing patience. Major companies tied to Diddy are watching from the sidelines, running their own risk checks and backup plans. One big-name beverage partner has even started a secret audit of their contracts, trying to figure out if the damage is already too deep to fix. And in entertainment circles, the shift is obvious. Diddy's once hyped parties and collabs are getting quietly dropped. Venues and brands are switching to safer names, choosing distance over drama as the fallout keeps growing. Against all this chaos, new whispers suggest Diddy's latest prison stunts might not be random at all. Some longtime insiders believe his so-called rule-breaking could actually be strategy, a way to distract the public with small controversies while bigger financial plays unfold quietly in the background. People close to the game say the story might be deeper than just rebellion or boredom. These moves could be calculated smokescreens, meant to keep the spotlight on the noise while real power shifts happen out of sight. Even his rivals and allies can't tell what's real anymore. Every headline could be part of a bigger plan. But one thing's clear, Diddy's grip on control is slipping fast. As money shifts, partnerships crack, and legacy brands start questioning their loyalty, the image of his untouchable empire is breaking apart piece by piece. In a business world built on perception and profit, every shakeup in his management or endorsement deals sends shockwaves across an industry he once ruled with a single call. The fight now isn't just about legal wins or early release, it's about whether the empire can stand without its founder pulling the strings. And those who know the world of high-profile inmates say it straight, this kind of rule-breaking, it's rarely random. Especially with someone like Diddy, who's always been a master at reading a room and playing every angle. None of this feels random. Insiders describe a pattern of controlled defiance, moves that look reckless, but are actually planned. Break one rule here, bend another there, then let the lawyers sweep in to clean it up and spin the story. It's not just about keeping his image of independence alive, it's about proving he can still bend the system when he wants to. His accusers are watching every misstep, calling it more proof that his remorse is nothing but a show. The same cycle keeps looping. Deny, act out, explain it away, repeat. Even some of the people who once built his brand are said to be tired of the chaos. But insiders say the real story now isn't just his court battles, it's what's happening inside his influence network. Music industry sources claim that behind every public statement there's quiet movement, money shifting through side companies, favors being traded, secret deals still in play. Back channels are buzzing again. Diddy's still rumored to have one of the most powerful contact lists in the business, and talk is that a few veteran insiders are quietly cutting deals. Endorsement rescues, settlement talks, even early plans for comeback tours if his sentence gets reduced. Meanwhile, lawyers for his accusers say all this behind-the-scenes action only proves one thing. Real accountability still hasn't landed. Every time new court papers hit the system, you can bet another wave of leaks and rumors will follow, keeping Diddy's name spinning in headlines and never fully fading from view. It's like his story refuses to slow down, no matter how deep the trouble gets. Experts say there's a deeper psychological side to all this. Time in federal prison is supposed to strip away privilege, level the field. But when it comes to high-profile inmates like Diddy, it often becomes a stage for something else entirely. One forensic psychiatrist told us that power-driven defendants use small violations as signals, little reminders to their circle that they're still in control, while keeping rivals uneasy. What makes Diddy's moves stand out is his timing. He doesn't just rebel randomly, he does it right when his legal future is hanging by a thread. It's almost like he's daring the system to react, testing how far his influence can reach even from a cell. And the wildest part? The day after every new incident, his PR machine seems to kick into overdrive, ready with statements, spin, and stories to shift the spotlight back under his control. Whenever things heat up, Diddy's spokespeople rush out statements saying he's focused on sobriety and discipline, or calling the latest rumors flat out false. But right after every denial, new details leak. Penal code citations, threats of transfer, or new filings tied to his civil cases. It's a pattern that won't quit, and the fallout stretches way beyond just his prison time. Each incident inside those walls echoes across the system, through courtrooms, social media feeds, and even the corporate offices tied to Diddy's massive legacy. The real question is, what happens if all these legal dominoes start toppling at once? Behind the scenes, lobbyists, lawyers, and business partners are scrambling to prepare for the storm they see coming. Entertainment attorneys we spoke with agree on one thing. Diddy's real power lies in confusion. As long as he keeps the narrative chaotic, he keeps control, and that's what scares everyone trying to close this chapter. The idea that he could still be pulling strings from behind bars, sending coded messages, using loopholes, and staying one step ahead shakes even the most seasoned insiders. Every day his release date remains in question, public fascination only grows. Accusers fear backlash, critics warn about unchecked influence, and fans are left asking the same thing. What's real and what's just another act in Diddy's endless show? The truth is, no other music figure of this era has faced a storm quite like this. Diddy was cleared of some of the heaviest conspiracy charges, yet still tangled up in enough violations to risk his early release on the smaller ones. For all the polished statements, public apologies, and media spin, we keep ending up in the same place. A man who refuses to play by the system's rules, no matter how high the stakes climb. So what happens if Diddy walks out of Fort Dix in June 2028, humbled but still hungry for control? Will he stage another big comeback, rebranding himself once again? Or will the lawsuits and emboldened accusers finally block his return to the spotlight for good? The answers are closer than ever, but this story is far from finished. As the gates of Fort Dix stay shut, the tension only builds. Every rumor, every leak, every insider whisper keeps fans guessing. Are we witnessing the last act of a fallen mogul, or the setup for a massive comeback? What do you think? Does Diddy still hold power behind the curtain, or is his empire finally collapsing for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment to stay tuned for the next twist in this unbelievable saga. Because in the world of celebrity justice, nothing stays hidden forever.